Welcome to International Love Story, a podcast about long distance and multicultural relationships. Today, we are reunited. So Nacho is sitting next to me.
As a co-host, yes.
Yeah, as a co-host. And on the other side, sitting in Miami right now, we would like to welcome Adrian and KB. Adrian and KB are friends of ours. We both met them in Miami a couple of years ago. But let's just go ahead, you guys, and introduce yourself as well.
I'm Adrian. I'm originally from Venezuela. I've been living in Miami for the last 6 or 7 years. I lose track. And I met Nacho in my first job at Seismec many years ago. And yeah, I just he was the funnest part about working in that little tiny office, which was less than the size of this little makeshift office that we have, and we were 4 people there. So he was always a character, always very funny and fun to hang out with. And next to me is my wife now, Kristelle, who we met in Tinder.
We met on Tinder. Yeah. I'm originally from Lebanon. That's where I grew up my whole life. And then I moved to the States when I was 22. And as soon as I landed, literally, I downloaded the app because I wanted friends, and I'm like a serial monogamer. I had broken up with my boyfriend, so I was like, I'm ready for something new.
You said you weren't ready.
I wasn't. Yeah, okay. What I said, the narrative I said was I wasn't looking for something, but I know deep down the reason I was on Tinder is to find someone. So I was trying to trick myself into not getting in a relationship right away, but we all know that it wasn't the case. So yeah, so we basically matched the day that I landed in the US. Yeah, he was my second date.
You were my second date as well.
We were each other's second date, and
yeah, we wanted to meet in some place public. You were living in Parkland, and I was in Miramar, which is in southeast Florida, but it's all the way to the Everglades almost, 40 minutes to an hour northeast of Miami. So we agreed on meeting up at the Sawgrass outlet mall, and we had dinner at a P.F. Chang's, which you for some reason think that you make fun of me or you tease me that it wasn't very romantic or whatnot, but I think it was the most convenient and most practical way to meet each other, and it was very public, and I recall it being a very nice 3-hour long dinner where we talked forever.
I think it was a 4-hour dinner.
Yeah.
But also it's not that it's not romantic, it's just it's a mall, and the other day it's PF.
Yeah, people traditionally meet each other in bars. I don't understand what the difference is.
Yeah, but it could have been somewhere more.
Anyways, every time I walk through a PF Chang's, I get butterflies in my stomach. So
okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to PF Chang's for hosting love.
We haven't been there in a while. We should go back at some point. But anyway, yeah, that was the intro dinner. We just we connected a lot, I guess, in our background from both our countries. We realized they were very similar. The culture, very family centric, very family focused. So right away I knew this was someone that I could very easily talk to, and we shared a lot of things in common, a lot of mostly I guess creative vibes.
At the time you were you're doing your own thing. He was because that was before you were working with Nacho. It was before your first official job.
Yeah.
You right after college you ventured into
I tried the whole entrepreneurship thing.
Yeah. And I respected that. I was it's not like he was super established or anything, but I love that he had this drive to create something and do something himself. And I was that was an aspect I really appreciated and just admired in him.
I just love that you and your mom cooked very delicious Lebanese food, and I absolutely love Lebanese food, so I knew right away that was it. You're mine. Aside from all the other cool stuff and that about you.
I feel like I tricked you into it.
Yeah, you cooked me a very, very delicious meal the second or third time that I saw you. And then 7 years, 8 years later, like we barely cook anymore.
Yeah, the thing is, like, now it's cooking is not the priority in our lives because it's getting very busy with our side gigs or full-time jobs, so it's just not the just sufficient time for us to do everything. So some aspects had to give in the end. So
Yeah.
cooking is one of them.
Well, luckily your mom is very close,
Yeah.
so we can get her fixed from there. Yeah, I think we're rambling here, but yeah, so we started dating, with nothing like really official, but like I invited Kristelle to my older brother's wedding in September. That was in September, and we met in like July. And I thought it was normal. I mean, I thought we had a good thing going on. We were dating. Yeah, I didn't want to go to a wedding solo.
I need to specify that his wedding was in San Francisco and we were in Miami.
Yeah, so you traveled together.
So we traveled together like 3 months. Was it 2 months after we met?
Yeah, 2.5, 3 months.
But you weren't official at that point.
Well, that was pretty official. Like
that was like an official sound.
Yeah.
But it's funny because my I still hadn't announced to my family that I was dating you, and then suddenly I was like, okay, I need to tell you something. I'm going to San Francisco, and it's with a boyfriend that I'm now dating. So it was everything happened at the same time.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, you got a job offer in Washington in October, no?
Yes.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah, he was ready to. He was ready to break up. He's like, all right, it's clear. It's a clean breakup.
I had tried long distance before in college, and it didn't work out. I had bad breakup. So it was.
Yeah, I mean, I had tried it, and it didn't end up. It's not that I didn't end up well, but yeah, I mean, I've had this experience as well, and it wasn't obviously a happily ever after story. But I wasn't taking this as an excuse. I was like, I don't understand your perspective. I mean, each relationship is different, and why are you just grouping me into a conclusion that is not necessarily true? So I said, okay, let's just give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then it becomes 2 experiences with long distance, and that didn't work out for you.
Yeah, then I guess that gave me a little bit of a push to like actually start producing some sort of financial compensation, because I wasn't really making any money on my own. So then I got hired by Seismic, met Nacho there, and then like that's when I realized like this could actually work, because I was still young. I was like I was 24, 25. And it gave me an excuse to travel a lot. Like every time we'd see each other, we tried to see each other on average about once a month. Sometimes we would see each other a little bit more than that. Sometimes there'd be a little bit more of a dry streak, but in the end, it pretty much averaged that to like once a month. And usually, most of the time, like I would go up there to DC. Sometimes she would come down. We would go to a lot of like cool, like ski trips. We'd go to national parks. We'd go to
beach trips.
We went to Hawaii also. That was a pretty cool trip. We went on a cruise when she was down here. So
you went to Lebanon.
I went to Lebanon. Yeah. So I was living with my parents, so it afforded me the ability to like save up on a lot of like Miami rent and money and all of that. So like I just pretty much spent a lot of it on travel with her, and it was great because it gave me also time to figure out. We weren't stuck with each other from a very young age, so we still had the opportunities to like explore by ourselves, do the things that we like without like feeling that you have to.
Yeah, that's what I really loved about our relationship, is that we grew together, but we had the space to also grow separately as adults. For me too, I was even younger than you. I was 22 when I moved to DC. So it was amazing. I mean, I learned how to be an adult. I created my own new group of friends from scratch. I learned how to live with other roommates. And, I mean, that's a lot to learn to live with someone who's not your family. I mean, this was like great practice for me. Rather than like jumping into like living with you from the very beginning. Like I learned how to live with just different personalities. Like it's not all about you. You also have to like compromise. You have to understand different perspectives, and yeah, you just learn a lot. So I grew a lot during that period, and I had space to explore. I got into tango dancing, which is something now that we don't do together, but I'm glad I had these years to like explore that and have fun with it,
So I actually went to tango lessons, and Nacho can attest to it, because we went together a couple couple of times to
Yeah.
these, like rinkety places in Calle Ocho, and we would like dance with 70, 80-year-old women that were always like,
Oh my God, Nacho was telling me about this. Yeah, the ladies were like,
the teachers were pretty cool, but like all the other dancers, yeah, you were always partnering up with a very, very old lady. They were nice sometimes, but like
Sometimes they try to teach you as well, like
yeah,
teach you the
yeah,
ropes. I was
they were a
like,
little bit aggressive sometimes. But anyway,
So we spent a lot of time also on FaceTime, talking.
Mhm.
Like I would say, communication is the basis of our relationship.
Mhm.
Would you say the same?
yeah, I mean now we
Because that's
hate
how
we hate
that's the
texting
big-
and we hate like
Yeah.
calling each other, but it's just because we like see each other all the time. But
Yeah.
back then, yeah, it was like consistent like FaceTiming and texting and yeah, I think Snapchat.
Yeah,
We started a
started
bit
on
with
oh,
Snapchat. But
mhm.
like, I never ever used that again. But that was the beginning of our relationship.
It
Was
had a
very
role.
Snapchat heavy.
Shout
Yeah.
out to Snapchat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the flow for like 2 years. I tried to
3 years.
no
3 years.
yeah, during that time I did consider moving up to DC. I looked for plenty of jobs, but not being a U.S. citizen, it was very hard to like find anything. Um,
Yeah.
Everything in DC, like all the like, most of the good jobs or like opportunities, you have to. They're like it's very government focused, or like there's some type of like lobbying or consulting, and like a lot of times you need to have government clearances and all that or background
Mm.
checks, and you can't really like
And
do
the
that if
reason
you're
why
not.
he was trying to move there was because I really loved my job and I didn't have a reason other than moving for him. So I did, I mean, it's true that we had reached a point where, okay, 3 years, like you consider moving with your boyfriend and stuff, but I was still in a very good place with my job. And I think he was like more like ready to move on from his.
Mhm.
So that's why he was trying so hard and I wasn't on my end trying.
Yeah, then we just realized that like it's it wasn't gonna work like that, and then
Yeah.
2 years to the 2 years in, 2.5.
3 years. now.
We moved in 3 years, but then we got engaged in July.
2017.
Yeah.
That's 3 years from 2014.
So I met you guys, or I met KB in 2017.
Yeah.
So this is also 2017. She didn't live in Miami at that point,
That's right.
at least in summer 2017. But then a couple of weeks later, she moved to Miami. So
Okay, you proposed in July 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Colombia. We had a very nice time there. I remember being very nervous about, carrying the ring from like one location or airport to another, because we did 3 cities. We did Bogota, we did Medellin, and we did Cartagena. And I was going to propose in Cartagena, and that was obviously the last location. So every time I would go through security or whatever, I'd make sure that like she was going in first, and then I'd be the one like going in, like taking out everything or whatever, so that she wouldn't like suspect. I'm really surprised she didn't suspect anything, because I like every time we go, I'd go back into the hotel. The
He had
first
a
thing I'd
freaking
do
lock on his backpack.
was go to the back, look for the closet, make sure that the backpack was still there, that the ring is still there.
But my question to you is, why did you wait the end of the trip to propose?
I don't know. I thought Cartagena was going to be the nicest, most romantic.
okay. Got it.
Yeah. And if you said no, then it wouldn't make the rest of the trip less.
Right.
So,
It was a very
my
nice trip anyway.
Gotta plan for the
yeah.
worst.
So once I did that, I guess like she knew she didn't have an option. Like she was gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean, I think let's back up a little bit. I think we had discussed about marriage, and I always told you, I think let's not think about it until we like lived together to see how it goes before we decide to live the rest of our lives together. So it kind of caught me by surprise because it wasn't what was planned. But at the same time, we were like super plateauing at this point because he couldn't move. I didn't want to move. So it's like, well, what's going to happen? So he was smart. That was the reason really why I moved here. And it worked out. We had like a 2-year period of engagement.
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
And so that was ample time to see if we're a good fit or not living together. And obviously we are. So it all worked out in the end. And yeah, now I'm like super happy in
Yeah.
Miami.
I think like the coolest thing always about you has been, well, not necessarily the coolest, but like when I had been through my share of like crazy before, and like Kristelle was like a complete 180 in that regard. Like she was not like your typical Latina girl that's like always like super crazy jealous about like any little thing that you do or like any interaction that you have with anybody else. So yeah, there's always just been like a lot of trust, and we each let each other do their own thing. You know, we understand that, you know, sometimes you have commitments or whatever, and you have your own group of friends, and like as much as we try to incorporate each other in each other's groups and each other's activities, like, you know, we understand sometimes, you know, you just got to do you and I'll do me.
Mhm.
But you know, we balance that out with, you know, at the end of the day we're living together. And now with pandemic, you know,
It is funny. The pandemic was like really a 180 for us because we went from doing long distance to now like being
Yeah.
all the time together. And on top of that, my dad was stuck with us for
Yeah.
3-4 months. So that was an interesting period of time.
So I don't know. I mean, we jumped a lot there. I don't know if you want to talk
Yeah,
about the
sorry.
wedding or
Yeah.
like what.
What I would be interested in, like, so when did you guys exactly, which year was it you matched on Tinder?
2014.
We matched on
2014.
July 1st, 2014.
And
I
you
don't know if it's
remember
true.
so precisely because you do have the WhatsApp the
She still has log into my account. It's like locked or stole or lost forever. So I don't know what happened
Okay.
there. She likes to capture everything. Obviously, she's a photographer, so like she
I screenshotted everything.
screenshotted
I have
everything.
all of our conversations,
Yeah.
the first ones
Yeah.
we've had.
And I knew she liked this, so that's also like when I proposed, I made it a point to like also record it, you know, film it. So I did it as
Mhm.
in a selfie way, which is very untraditional. I knew that she didn't like traditional, so I didn't get on a knee or anything. We were in like a pool, and it was very like unexpected, fun.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
See?
So
Yeah.
so we're talking about more than 7 years already
Yeah.
Yeah.
of relationship. And what was like, if you look back, like because you also mentioned that you grew as individuals, but you also grew together. Like how does it make you feel to look back 7 years ago, if you think back? Like who were you 7 years ago?
Oh,
Mm,
I definitely, he taught me, and like my whole experience to this day really taught me on how to have bigger goals and like think of the bigger picture and my dreams and just striving for more, because I still remember a conversation we had very early on when I was already in DC, and I was not understanding the concept of you were telling me that we were talking about contentment. Like I was telling him like I'm happy with my life how it is. Like I'm very content and I'm happy. He said something like I'm not content yet. I'm happy, but like I feel like I want more. Like I'm like he was striving for something more, and I was in my head like being like no, I'm happy with how things are now. Like I was more like in the moment, and he was more like future oriented. And now I understand a lot more like this perspective after like these 7 years and etc. Like, and I'm more like that now. Like I'm now more thinking about the future, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and I'm trying to. It doesn't mean that I'm not happy now, but it's like let's look more into the future and find direction. And I think that's something that I learned, and then I'm proud of the journey so far with that
it's funny.
aspect.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I was gonna say that like I guess that's how I've looked at you and like learned from you, like especially like the last year and a half, 2 years since you started your photography business. You know, yeah, you're like working like really really crazy, going after your dreams, and you're like so passionate and driven by it. And it was really inspiring because, you know, I at night I would be like laying on the couch, you know, watching Netflix or whatever, or figuring out something to do while you were like, you know, working nonstop on your photos on your website until like 2 in the morning each day. So now like that definitely like spoke to me and has motivated me to also like pursue, not be afraid of pursuing other my passions and explore my creativity and yeah.
I think it sounds like you taught me to think and dream big, and I taught you to actually like
How to do
go
it.
and go and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I employed the theory and you taught me
Execute
the
it.
execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
that, like physically, I don't know. She still looks so young to me. It doesn't look like she's really aged at all.
Same
From when I hit
here.
her. Oh no. I got the white hairs on the
He
beard
has
now.
some white hairs on his beard.
Yeah.
So his signature beard, he's shaving it now. But lately, like the past couple of weeks, he's growing it again because he knows that I love the beard, and I'm super happy and I feel so loved that he's doing this for me.
Aww.
But yeah, I don't know. It's awesome. It's cool to be in a relationship where you feel supported, you support each other, and we watch each other like grow, and we just, I don't know. Like today, for example, he in the morning went back from his morning run, a long run. He's training for a marathon. And he told me that he decided not to do the marathon this year and he was going to postpone it for next year. And I mean, yeah, it's hard for him to have come to this conclusion, but he chose to focus on his creative outlet, which is
it's just it's
YouTube.
just way too many things. Usually, like before this I've done 9 so far, 9 marathons, but each time, like every year that I do one, I'm like, it's like pretty much like the number one thing on my mind, like the training to, if you want to do a marathon and you want to actually like, do your best, like beat your personal record or whatever, like, you have to train like really, really hard. It's a lot of discipline. Your social life, it gets affected by it. You have to be, training constant. Can't really like miss a workout, and it's like working out like 6 days a week. And it just got to a point right now with everything that's going on with our side hustles that where like running became from like me being obsessed with my Strava, or like tracking exactly, okay, like, yes, like my workout is coming up, this is what I got to do, I'm like pumped, I'm ready, to like being like, oh crap, it's 6 a.m, like shit, I have to run, like, and I go out there and I'd be miserable in my head, it's just not in it. And I was already today halfway through training, and it was like, yeah, my body was just like not responding at all. I was like really like the slowest pace that I've ever probably run. So one of the things also, I guess, that I learned from you is to be very, very, very committed, very dedicated. Like if you're gonna do something, do it to the best of your ability. And so like I decided I'm not gonna run a marathon just to run, just to participate. Like I have the option of deferring to next year. So, next year we'll see where my mind is at. If I have like maybe more time, and like I don't have to be like, because right now we're both like ramping up pretty much side businesses. That's always like the busiest time for those
You gotta focus.
those opportunities. Yeah, you gotta be focused, you gotta dedicate a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. And yeah,
and that's why also, and I super respect that, and I support you in this decision. Obviously it's your decision and it's your dream.
I mean, I'll still work out. It's not like I'm gonna like grow a beer belly.
No,
like,
I know.
No, but
but I mean, something else also that in terms of like helping each other out and supporting each other is, for example, back to the cooking theme, like, because we're so busy, like we're starting to like find ways to, well, literally like right before this call, I was setting up my Instacart to deliver groceries to our place. Just like, finding ways to make this whole thing work. Like, for example, we have a cleaning lady that comes once per week.
I think you need to pre-emphasize before all of this. Like we have like 9 to 5 jobs.
Yes, we have 9 to 5
pretty
people. Yeah,
demanding.
I mean, we've been saying like it's a high hustle, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, just finding ways to, and obviously I don't cook all the time. Like, so just finding ways to not like blame each other and say, why are you not cleaning, or why are you not like cooking? Like, no, finding ways to find solutions together, and it's that we never really like fight. I mean, about anything, we just find solutions and make it work. So
you had to in the past. I mean, especially with the sorry for interrupting, especially with the long distance relationship. Obviously it wasn't always easy. I mean, at least in our case. And you have to make it work and find solutions for every bit of piece that might just be thrown. into your way and basically work around it. So at some point you just get used to it and you're like, okay, whatever, this is just like something not even worth to discuss about. Let's just figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, let me say that in some aspects, a long distance relationship is easier than living together. On some other aspects, of course, it's, you know, for example, I don't know, when I was living alone, right, and Tina was in Germany, or I was living with roommates, right? Cooking was not a priority. Cleaning was not a priority. So, you know, now that we're living together, it's a different topic.
In that sense, we're both. I think that was also one of the things that I knew right away, and I decided to propose and to live together because I knew how she lived, and I knew that she was clean and not as OCD maybe as me. Like,
Yeah, he has like an OCD.
yeah. Well,
problem.
no, it's just normal. Like, if the laundry doesn't get folded or cleaned, like it's not, no one's gonna do it, so I do it. And I could say the same thing for a couple of other things in and around involving house chores, but I won't get into that right now. But
listen, if I could get someone who can help us like all the time, so I can focus on my own creative shit, like I would, because I hate that stuff. But that's a big dream, right? So
yeah, that's what we work
that's
towards.
what we work towards.
Tesla bot is coming in 2022.
Tesla bot. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I like that.
I haven't heard about it, but yeah, I guess that's the future. Like, they're totally gonna find a way to automate the service industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that basically leads us to our next question, because as you said, KB, earlier, that you do have like a 5 or even 10-year plan. Did I understand correctly? Do you have a 10-year plan? May I ask?
That's a good question. Actually, I don't. I mean, I don't have like a roadmap written down. I just have like a vision. But I don't know about the 10-year. I know about like more like 5-year.
Really? Okay.
I mean, okay, 10-year. Let's see. I do picture ourselves having a family together. We're on the same page about that.
Yeah.
So, like, if God will, is that the word? If
God willing, I think.
God willing, we're able to have a family. Like, that's what we would like to have 10 years from now.
We have a bunny right now, though. That bunny is our family.
He's our family.
He's so cute.
What's his name? It starts with a K, right? Or
Kimura.
Yeah.
Like the Kimura, like the jujutsu move. I didn't name the bunny. It came with a name already. So we just call it Bunny or Bun or like a million other nicknames.
Yes.
Bugs.
Yeah. So being with a family here in Miami, in our house that we've been expanding. We're working on a pool, so next step would be to add like a new wing or a new level.
Oh, we'll see. Maybe
or we move into a bigger house. We're traveling all the time, and our family travels with us, and we're both doing our own thing. We're working for ourselves, and we're so super successful. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty much everybody's dream. But yes, I think we're doing something about it, or we're in the right track to start. So there's a lot of bumps in the road, and you just learn to deal with them. And if something's not working, then you just pivot and try something else. Yeah, I mean, like, we're not really like trying to pressure ourselves into like, okay, like we have to like have a baby in like 2 years, because if not, like, it's sort of like, no, like it's pretty much at this point, like, just telling your mom to relax, to like, give it time, whatever, you'll get it eventually. But like, they understand that, in today's day and age, it's not like it was before. And like, obviously, like, starting a family in the US can be expensive, but luckily, both my mom and dad and her mom live close by, so that's a lot of help that we're looking forward to having. And yeah, I mean, like, just for now, we're both like really focused on our dream, in our passion projects, I guess, and like really trying to to execute that. I mean, Kristelle's already really successful with her photography business. Like she could do it full time easily if she wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just talking about this a little bit. I still am not like ready mentally to fully do photography as like my main source of income. Like I like how I am right now, where it's like I have my full-time job and it's the bulk of my income, and then photography is just like my creative outlet. And if I were to just quit my job and do my own thing, I would still find a way to have the bulk of my income be something that is not necessarily like photography driven, if you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
I like the idea that photography is not just my main like meat and potato of my income. So that would be like finding ways of having like a passive income or like something else, maybe freelancing in the design field where I am right now, to make that happen. So we'll see. I don't want to solely do photography just, to like, I don't know how to say this. It's just there's a lot of fear for me revolving around like losing the passion for photography, just because it has become like
You like the fact that you do it because you enjoy it, not because you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to find a way.
Sorry if I mansplained there, but
no, that was necessary. Thank you. I was like just rambling and I wasn't finding my words.
You both come like from outside of the US, right? And you both have lived in several cities, or like you both have lived in Miami and Washington. And is that your plan to live in or to form your family in the future as well in Miami?
well, it doesn't need to be Miami for certain, but like definitely around it. Like I love Florida. I love especially Southeast Florida. I mean,
Well, I would say,
where
like,
else would you live in the US? Like
I would say that especially like for like the beginning years of like starting our family, definitely it's a no-brainer for us to stay here in Miami with our family so close by. But like maybe like after that, once our family's grown and whatever, we'll see where the adventure takes us.
Right.
Like I
just want to be near the ocean. As long as I'm near the ocean.
I mean, we like sometimes we go to bed. I'm like, what's your vision? What's your vision? And he tells me, he's like, he dreams about like traveling the world in a boat. So who knows? Maybe like we'll end up living in a boat or something, and just we'll see.
But so the US is permanent now. It's not like, I mean, Venezuela. I know. Adri is,
I haven't been to.
You're detached, right? But Lebanon is it?
It's not the same country now that it was from when I left. I don't have any family there left except like my godparents and very few friends. Haven't been there in like 11 years. I don't even have a valid passport. It's so hard to get a passport. So luckily I have my Spanish citizenship as well to get by. And well, I should be getting U.S. citizenship in a year or so. But living anywhere else, like other than the US, it's I don't know. I grew up culturally with American culture, so that's why I feel I fit in very easily in this place. Like I don't know, I feel like everything just works. Like you snap your fingers and things get done like magic. Versus like anytime I visit, not to bash in Europe, but like my other home country in Spain or whatever, it's like you go out, you're hungry at like 3 p.m. and like no, places are closed. You need to go to the bank or whatever, and like it takes forever to process something. Like it's just not the hustle and bustle that you're used to seeing here in the States. And like I guess like Florida is like a very, very light version of that. Like obviously, like I could never live in a place like New York. It's too chaotic for me. But Florida is like very, very mellow, very, very relaxed in that sense. It's also a cultural hub pretty much for Latins, and it's like the closest thing to home for me. There's so many Venezuelans here. I can have like the same foods and like same experience, and I barely even like speak English when I'm here, except like obviously to communicate with Kristelle. And a little bit of with non-Spanish speakers, which is pretty not common. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess that's
And
good.
I used to be one.
and yourself, KB, did you imagine just living in Lebanon or 11 years ago, was it as well? No, 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
But
Did you
we
imagine to leave and not go back, actually? Or
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Lebanon knowing that after graduation, I would move out. I was luckily born in the US, and
Mhm.
my family, like my parents and my brother and I, are American. National,
Mhm.
have the US
you're Americans. You were born here. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, true. That's it. End of story. But yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up like you super in the American culture. So for me,
Mhm.
it's sometimes I forget I'm American even. What did I want to say? So yeah, I grew up knowing that one day I would move out, because that's just the way that we were brought up in Lebanon. You have to find a way to move out, otherwise you stay, but you don't live, in a place with that many opportunities. Like you'll live comfortably, but not.
Well, that used to be the case.
That used to be
It's
the
not,
case.
It's
Now it's not even an option. Like you
like-
have to get out if you can.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it's like worse than Venezuela actually right now. Not in like in terms of
Yeah.
of opportunities and all that, but
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's sad.
So, yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean-
I don't think that we would ever
Yeah.
move there. He doesn't know the language, and it's just not.
yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
that
know.
reminds me of a funny story actually about when I asked for your father's blessing before I was gonna
Just gonna-
propose. So I was we were at the beach, and I asked Kristelle's father, that I told him about my intentions and my plans or whatever, that I wanted to marry her. And he said it was more of a courtesy notice rather than like, I'm asking you this because if you don't give it to me, if you don't give me your blessing, I'm not gonna propose. Like, no, like it was just like, hey, heads up, like I'm gonna marry your daughter, and like, I hope you're cool with it. So I was expecting, an answer, yeah, like, okay, you're a great guy. No. So he was like really like surprised, like he looked at me with his eyes like super open. I was like, okay, I will need to talk to Kristelle and like, let you know. And like it's like, what? Like, so, like for 2 nights, yeah, while he was like talking with Kristelle, I don't know if she can tell you more about that. Yeah, it was like the most anxiety like that I've ever like probably felt, not knowing what this guy was gonna say or not. And then like one of the things that he like discussed, I guess, with Kristelle was, are you guys gonna like, you marry this guy, like he doesn't even speak Arabic, he doesn't speak French, like how will you live in Lebanon? And it was like, there's no plan of like living in Lebanon at all. So
Yeah. I think the hope was, well, that's like Lebanese families. The hope was always to send your kids off to a better education and what's the word, experience outside of Lebanon, and then like 10 years later you come back to Lebanon to improve the country and kind of like just bring your knowledge, and that's always like the parents' dream and whatever. So yeah, my dad was no exception, and my family, so they were hoping that one day I would go back and infuse my I don't know, my expertise there somehow. But it's right now, especially now, it's not even a question. But back then, yeah, I mean, it could have been a possibility maybe in their minds, but yeah, I never really planned on doing that. So
how did your family react once they've learned that there's most probably no future for you guys in Lebanon?
I think it's mostly just my father and maybe my paternal grandmother who, it's not easy for them, but everyone else understands. It's not.
yeah, your mom is
it's-
like Team America in that
Yeah, my
regard.
mom
She was
lives
like-
here. She moved here like 5-6 years ago. She left everything behind and moved here and started from scratch, literally. I mean, not from scratch, but her career, she had to like find her own way, etc. So yeah, I mean, So in general, yeah, I had the support. It's just, feel the nostalgia and the family, and because we're so family centric, we have technology now, we can see each other. It's not like relying on letters like it used to be back then. So
You found a way to deal with it basically over the
yeah.
years. I mean, since 7 years you said you're living in the US, so quite a while already.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I
I
mean,
got
you
used to it.
used to go every year. At
I used
least
to
you
go
see
every
them,
year, but then like when COVID hit and now the economic
Yeah.
crisis,
Yeah.
it's been stalling. So that's the most time I've stayed outside of without seeing Lebanon. It's
Mhm.
been 2 years now. So I don't know.
we need to go.
The plan is to go this December. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see. The situation there is really, really bad right now, and I don't want to get into the details, but yeah, it's
Mhm.
very bad.
Mm.
So it's hard to manage that from afar, and knowing I still have family and friends there. It's really, really hard. But like at least you don't have any family left in Venezuela, so you don't have this like emotional
Well, I still have people that I still
responsibility.
have people that I care about. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like just. I used to be like I used to feel the way you were feeling. More around like around the time I met you, 2014, 2015. That's when like protests like really, really like started like hyping up or ramping up in Venezuela. And then lastly in like 2019, really into it, really like trying to like be involved, be engaged from afar, like trying to really share and like educate our American friends and everything as much as possible about like the situation in these countries, because they're very tiny countries that they're not really mainstream. So but then at the end, like it gets to a point where like you feel like almost impotent. So it's like rather than
Mhm.
worrying and stressing about something that I have no control over, I just
Yeah.
like I try to like put blinders on and just like focus on what I can
Yeah.
can influence and can
Mm.
change and take control of my own
Yeah, it's easy
destiny.
to feel guilty that you live in a better place, etc., etc. But it all comes down to the
No,
fact
I mean
that we took the decision like
you made
early
choices and
on.
you
I
made
made a
sacrifice, and it's
choice.
not easy. Like it's starting over, moving into a new country.
Yeah.
Like it's not an easy thing to do. Immigrating, like you literally have to like start from zero. So I think like that guilt feeling is very misplaced.
But you don't feel like, I mean, maybe this is a question you prefer not to answer, but you don't feel like you're getting numb somehow as well towards, like, because if things just happen all over again, especially like in Venezuela. I mean, Lebanon is quite fresh compared to Venezuela, but Venezuela is I mean,
Oh,
since when are you guys dealing with that situation
20 years.
already?
Yeah. I know
Plus.
you described it perfectly, and that's the exact feeling. Yeah, I'm completely numb to like anything. Any news, any headline that I see or whatever. So just okay, what else is new? Like
Yeah, there's
done
nothing
that.
you can change. Yeah, so sad
Yeah.
to be honest, but yeah.
I mean, I feel really bad for the people that are
Of course.
there that can't leave or like can't go out, because I know that they would love like opportunities abroad. At the same time, I know people that could easily live abroad, but they choose to stay there just because they don't want to go through that process of moving to a new country and starting from having to make a name for yourself rather than you stay back home. No, your last name is all that counts, and like you
It's
have
the same
like
in Lebanon, and that's why we connected so well. Is we really have so many similarities, and we understand each other. Like when Lebanon's recently has been going through some struggles, he's been there and he's been through it, so he knows exactly what to tell me, and someone else wouldn't probably know how to deal with it.
As we mentioned before, you're growing together and you're still growing together. And it's just so amazing to see, like, I mean, I met you in 2017, so quite a few years ago, and you came a long way. And you came a long way because you both are very eager to work on your goals, and you are super open-minded people. And you're just not afraid to maybe choose another path and to work hard for what you're believing in. So I think this summarizes you quite well, and it's just like so incredible. Like also thinking back, 2019 it was, right, when you got married. Your wedding in Sevilla, so in Spain, you guys got married. You organized everything. You didn't have a wedding planner, but you knew exactly what you want. I guess KB organized most of it.
Why would you jump to that conclusion?
No,
Like,
I would
Because I read her blog post.
yeah, he was the brains, and I was just the translator, I guess, the communicator with all the vendors.
I couldn't have done it without him because I mean, Spanish. I learned Spanish when I moved to Miami. It's in the end of the day my fourth language, so it's not like perfect. It wasn't perfected at the time. Now I'm in a better place with Spanish, but yeah, I really needed his help with that. But he has very good points, and it was always a dialogue the whole way. It wasn't just like me saying, okay, this is what we need to do, and you just like, no.
Well, you were like that with the photographer and the videographer.
Yes, that's like a no. Well, no, because the videographer,
Anyways. Oh, I was the one actually that brought the videographer. Yeah. And you took care of. Well, we picked the food tasting. Like, thank God I was there, because if it would have just been Kristelle, like it would have just been rice and chicken.
Yeah, I'm not very explorative with.
So yeah, we went a couple months before with my older brother, who was living in London at the time, and we had a nice tasting, and like I have a little bit more refined taste, I guess, or just more open to explore new things in my appetite. So we were able to like have a really, really nice menu, and Kristelle really like worked very closely with the catering company, which they weren't really like a wedding planner, but they were more like they were coordinating. They were like pretty much the point of contact to coordinate, because they were bringing in all the heavy like decorations and gear and stuff. So like she pretty much like relayed all like the design ideas that she wanted. So like that's where like she was very, very helpful and insightful. And then I just dealt with like the more mundane, like, transportation, like the hotel, dealing with the hotels, and
logistics.
Logistics. I mean, it was a cool experience. Yeah, for sure. And like everybody that we invited, they loved it, and that's pretty much all we could hope for. And I'm just glad that it was like a turning point for Kristelle, that now that she's wanting to like jump into that industry, because she has like this like a little fire inside of her that's like really burning, and like I see her very, very passionate about this industry and everything that goes along with photography. So she's trying to get me to like join her and like do a duo of like video and photo tag team, but like I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that can be like the 5-year plan or so.
Yeah, because a lot of wedding photographers, especially the ones that are destination focused, they're all duos, because the lifestyle that goes around it is very much like you travel all the time, etc. So if you have your partner doing it with you, then it's a cool adventure. Otherwise, I don't know if it's sustainable or even possible. So I don't know. Yeah, so those are just ideas, but yeah, it's definitely like he said, it sparked something in me. I was always into photography, but I was doing it mostly like street photography and travel photography. So whenever we would travel was when I picked up the camera and would capture life in the streets, and would always like to see people in context. But yeah, after getting married and having someone hired photographer to tell our story for the first time, or at least for me, because I was so used in documenting my own story, but having this third person come and tell it for us was such a cool experience that it opened my eyes, and I was like, okay, cool. I need to expand my skills to help others, not just help me document my own stories. Like I should probably help others capture theirs. So that's where it all started.
This is what you were still doing. I mean, I mentioned that you do have a blog. I mean, recently, right? You opened it recently.
So I just launched my new website. I've had one when I first started, but now like it's a little bit more detailed and more, focused with what I do. I'm super happy with my branding, and I'm taking the blogging super seriously. I'm also going to launch a podcast and maybe a YouTube that he's going to help me start. I really want to create a resource hub for not only like photography tips and stuff like that, but also relationship oriented, like, because I'm all about like capturing connections, and I really love relationships, whether it's like between people or between like ourselves and like us with our passions or us with anything. So that's really what I want to explore. So that first blog post was about how we planned our destination wedding, and there's going to be many more revolving around also like, you know, long distance relationship tips or things like that. So it's a little bit more about lifestyle than it is about just, you know, photography and just weddings. So
but I also love the way, I mean, it's just like, I just love that Adrian said that this could be your main business. And I understand that you love the creative part and you're kind of afraid to lose it. But I, like, at least on Instagram, I know all of your pictures and I admire them so much. Like, because you do have definitely an eye for capturing moments no other person has, I know. And I mean, I'm following quite a few photographers as well, but comparing your pictures with others, it's just like, it's another dimension, at least for me, because I see that you do have, like, you catch the feeling in the picture. And I don't know, and I feel like this is going to be a huge, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. And not only are you just super focused on what you're doing, you love what you're doing, and everyone can see that you love what you're doing, and that's the most important thing, obviously. Otherwise you wouldn't do it. And yeah, to get basically back to, like, to everyone who's listening right now, where could they find you and your work, and what are your next steps and next ideas when it comes to your business in general? You said you're going to have a YouTube channel, so
you can find me on Instagram at FromKBWithLove, or check my website www.kristellbulos.com. And yes, I still haven't launched my podcast or YouTube, so those will come a bit later. But if you follow me on Instagram, I'll definitely like keep you posted.
It's not really like my channel, what I'm working on. I'm pretty much like helping my younger brother. He sells boats here in Florida. So I'm pretty much managing all of his social media. His TikTok and his Instagram is at Yacht Tenders. And then the YouTube channel that we're doing is the Yacht Tender Guy. So yeah,
creating the videos.
Yeah, pretty much like everything that you see posted there is done by me. And yeah, I mean, for now I'm using that really as like a platform to like really learn and get into videography and start like the whole like YouTubing experience. But then my goal would be to be able to start a channel with Kristelle, like dedicated about her photography, or like even like maybe at some point, you know, down the 5-year plan or whatever, it can be like something about, you know, two creative folks living together and just a vlogging experience. So it's definitely a lot of fun. It requires a lot of work, a lot of time, but you know, I get on the plus side, I get to be on boats on the weekends, which I absolutely love. So yeah, it's cool. But what?
So how can people
I said it. I said at Yacht Tenders and
yeah, no, obviously we're going to link everything in the site notes. So for everyone who wants to check you guys out, this is where they'll find you.
I'm on Instagram at Adrian. I have the OG handle, so you can find me probably easier that way.
Right. And then you also, I mean, for those sporty persons that are following us as well, you relaunched Run Mia, right?
Yeah.
How's that going?
So it's a funny story because
you relaunched it.
I was saying before, yeah, like I've been it's been a bumpy road, and like I'm finally like getting a flow into a niche that I like. But I have been pivoting a lot. Like probably like September of last year was like when I first started to like really get into social media, and I was like doing.
I remember the purge.
Yeah, it was like a personal. I was like pretty much like trying to build my personal brand as like a workout or running influencer. But yeah, I had like an insane amount of followers. Like it was like more than 20,000, and then like they were all there mostly because of the handle, the Adrian handle. So, and there was also an accumulation of followers that came in throughout years and years without really knowing what I was posting. I just like when I turned my profile from private to public, I went from having like less than 1,000 or like 1,000 followers to more than 20,000. So yeah. So I purged all of them. I back to like a more acceptable number, but I realized that a couple months in that like I was getting too over. I wouldn't say overwhelmed, but I was like I was giving Instagram like the likes and everything way too much importance, and like obsessing always over like if something was performing well or not, and if it didn't, I'd take it personally, and then I'd be in a bad mood or whatever because of the amount of work that really goes into creating content. But so I pivoted from that to like launching a website. Actually, Kristelle got me for my birthday, like the Squarespace hosting and setup. So I felt like that also incentivized me to like actually like put some time and like actually build a site. So Run MIA, it's still live. It's basically like it started more into like a running community type of thing for Miami, and then like I was like really inactive for months. Like I said before about like the running as well, like if my head is really not in something, I don't like to half-ass it. I'd just rather not do it at all rather than like do something poorly. But then when I started training again, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like revamp this. Like, okay, this is good. Also, I wasn't doing like the whole boat thing. Like it was, I was doing it, but it was like very quiet because there weren't like really we weren't like really shooting any content. There was like a lack of boats available, so like we weren't really getting out there. But then we were in France, and I decided to open a TikTok channel for my brother for yacht tenders. And I just started after like 10 videos or so. Like we get one that became viral, and then since then, like it has exploded to like we have almost 70,000 followers now. Have several
That's
videos
amazing.
that have over 5 million views. So a lot of traffic that we're driving also to Instagram, and like really like I'm just like trying to dedicate my time and optimize, and like and actually you understand, you worked in the industry of like optimizing campaigns or whatever. You dedicate more resources and more time and priority into like the tactics or the strategies that are actually working. So for now, my time and hands are really busy with the yacht tenders. So unfortunately, Run MIA has been a little bit neglected on the back burner, but I would like eventually to be able to carry to get back into that, dedicate some time into it, because it is something that I've been very passionate about. It's just like there's only so many hours of the day, and you have to choose eventually. So yeah, that was my tangent about why Run MIA is not active yet.
All right. Yeah. So it's From KB with Love, and then Yacht Tender Guy, right?
Yacht Tender Guy on YouTube. You can just do yacht tenders, and you'll see it on TikTok and Instagram as well. Yeah.
To get to Nantes, what advice could you give to everyone who's listening right now?
It's for me, it's simple. Just don't even like think about getting into it if you have like trust issues. Like that's like the one thing you need to be conscious of, and you need to have from the start is trust. Be able to trust someone. If you love them, like you better be trusting them, and know that they trust you as well. Like know that there's like that mutual respect for each other, and that'll make everything like way easier rather than stressing about like, oh, why isn't she texting me back? Like it's been like 2 hours. Like what is she doing? Like no, that was never an issue.
For me, it's definitely putting effort in communication. So it does mean you're gonna have to like use your phone more. You're gonna have to call more. Like FaceTime more, all of that, and you may have to make the effort too, because that is your only point in contact with that person. So you have to like
getting there. I would say like for us, what really worked was pretty much just getting a routine. So
yeah.
I used to commute for a while, actually for a long while, from Miramar to Miami for work. So for me, it just became habit to like call her or FaceTime every time during my commute. So that's where we would start like that, and then like before bed, always FaceTime as well. And so just as long as you have those, like you set up a routine, it becomes very hard to skip or to miss.
The other thing I would say too is don't, like, if you're in a long distance relationship, look at the glass half full, not half empty, because you don't have your person next to you. But look at this as an opportunity to develop as your own person, do things that maybe your partner wouldn't want to do, like just take advantage of that that space and for your own advantage. And yeah, it's all good. You'll eventually get to be together, so enjoy every moment, whether it's in separation or together. So.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. And yes, you got to know our friends a little bit, KB and Adrian. It was just great to talk to them after such a long time, to be honest, and to catch up with them a little bit, and also to get to know their story better, even though we attended their wedding in Sevilla, which was amazing, by the way. So if you guys have the chance, or if you're also planning getaway wedding, get in contact with KB and Adrian, because they are pros. And if you like what we are doing, please go ahead and follow us on Instagram and or Facebook. It's International Love Story. As always, feel free to contact us if you need advice, help, or whatever it is. And please rate this podcast on iTunes. So this is a way to support us. Would be amazing. And thank you so much for that in advance. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely morning. Have a lovely afternoon, wherever you are right now. And take care. Bye.